Okay, well, P. Simon, 1836, Ryan Holiday.
No. Do it your way, man. No, do it your way. Protect our parks, then we'll do Mike Judge after the break.
Sure. What a tight ship we run.
Simon,
What a
as
great
you wish.
podcast.
1834, Protect Our Parks. Or as I
Number
prefer to go,
4?
Parks and Humiliation. It was the third time, I believe. Maybe the
Parks
fourth.
and Humiliation. What is that show called? Thank you, Mary.
Parks and Recreation.
Then that's funny, Kumar.
Thank you.
Way to go.
Because this episode shows that Ari does have a serious lack of judgment. Because he should have never thought he...
I mean, as a comedian, you have to see the humor in that bit. Like, it's very funny. And the payoff is him puking under the table as they continue the podcast. That, to me, is hilarious.
I don't know. I think it lessened his legend. Had he done it, I guess, but he just got so... When someone gets sloppy drunk, you don't admire them. That's hilarious.
The
You
comedy was hilarious, though, as Shane was just totally normal. Like, yeah, I told him it was probably going to be a bad idea.
Well, Shane definitely has a superpower.
I know lots of people like that, though, who can just drink tons of
Hold on, Bud Light.
Budweiser,
You
like,
could drink
yeah.
15 Bud Light.
No,
Yeah,
if you're
but
a
I'd
big
be
guy,
Ari. I'd
you
be
can
Ari.
he couldn't.
I'd be Ari after
He'd
15.
be Ari. But I've seen a lot of like bigger guys be able to just put back a lot. You have more room.
But
you know?
I'm just trying to think in my head, and I know it's different because it's beer, it's more liquid. But like, what is the equivalent? Like, how much vodka would 18?
well, it's 3%.
No, I think it's 4%. A Bud Light.
No
maybe,
way. There's
Maybe
no way it's
3.5%.
3.5. I'll meet you there.
Sure. Well, we'll agree on 3.5. And vodka is what, Matt?
2 Bud Lights is equivalent to 1 drink
40%.
in alcohol, I guess.
In alcohol?
As 1 shot of vodka, so 30 Bud Lights. would
Why?
be-
Because you can
15
do
drinks.
18
15 drinks.
shots? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying if I, in 3 hours, I could do 15 shots of vodka.
But you'd be...
Obliterate.
I wouldn't throw up like Ari.
Or how about this? How about you would be nowhere near as functional and coherent as we were saying Shane. Like Shane, I think showed he's the funniest and the sort of most insightful, intelligent of the 3 guys on the show.
Oh, for sure.
As the show goes, he's
He's still
moving
dropping
forward.
like World
Norm's
War
just
II
like
stuff. Yeah.
autistic pun master.
Ari is actually pretty insightful. It's when he's around other comedians, he has to like.
Yeah, but like
Big up,
but
you
he's
know?
still like
I'd say-
Shane is still fucking razor sharp. 15 Bud Lights.
It's amazing.
Ari's insightful about himself, his own experience in Judaism, but I find Shane seems more worldly. He brought up the most interesting things of like, oh, did you hear about this? Oh, look into that. Anyway, that's what I felt.
All right, well, let's find out.
They start off with just, which is the craziest thing that we see in historical entertainment is the cultural appropriation of Asians. And have you guys seen Fantasia,
The Disney film?
the Disney?
Yeah.
Because now if you watch it, there's a big thing at the beginning, like this was made at a different time. Da, 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 da.
Why is there a whole Asian thing in there?
There's just this one vignette of like mushrooms singing, but they look very Asian. Because the mushroom hat is like Diddy Mao hat or whatever. That sounded even worse.
It's funny because some big executive came out this week and said they were like, we're not going to censor any of our old content, because we just don't think it's historically like worth doing.
Yeah, it was one of the streaming services,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was a good
Netflix?
precedent. I don't think
Was
it was
it
Netflix.
Netflix?
No.
With a warning.
Disney?
Yeah.
No, definitely not Disney.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think with a
Amazon.
warning, but that's the point. Is he's like, we can't just clean history. So it is what it is.
And the only thing about cleaning history is we don't even know what is.
And who's to
history, I guess, if
decide?
it's
Like,
made.
look at Pinocchio. There's a movie that should be fucking cleaned, and they just run that like it ain't no thing.
Why? Because the Epstein Island
Yeah,
effect.
man. Those 2 fucking guys are creepy, man. They're talking about raping children. Like,
Geppetto sounds like a kitty toucher. If you told me my name is Geppetto,
well,
I'd
he was building himself a little boy.
Geppetto. Geppetto.
Well, yeah.
He has pedo in his
Yeah,
name.
it's
He was
right
a puppet.
there, Matt.
He wanted to entertain other children.
It's right there, Matt.
Maybe-
Right in his name.
Yeah. Ja pedo.
if
Yes,
Which
pedo.
is yes, pedo in
That's what it's-
German.
Yeah.
yeah, and I wonder if someone
Yeah,
20
he
years from now, no,
Ja.
going back, if someone 20 years from now sees something like, does it trigger them? I doubt it will. or will they be? They were fucked up because we always say that about Looney Tunes now, right?
No, I think it'll just be way more obvious in 20 years how they were grooming is a bad word. I don't like it, but like using movies to influence children right from the very start, you know? I don't think this was a new thing. I think that's probably why they brought cartoons in the first place.
Yeah, but to Kamar's point, there is no like, you never look back at time and are like, like there's nothing like, think about it. Fashion, I'd say other than music is one thing that you can look back and be like, oh, that was like,
And I don't think the actual.
No, I mean, there are definitely sorry, Kamar, go ahead.
in the real world is not as woke as corporations and media would have you think.
I say that all the time.
Yeah, like I agree with you. Finally, I don't think I ever heard it, but this we're gonna take over my wokeness. Like I'm telling you, there were 2 kids there last night for sure that were trans or whatever. They were just, you could see the outliers or whatever, but the rest are just normal people. They were no more different than we were 20 years ago graduating. I'm sure of it.
I saw Bill Maher do this thing where he was talking about the like how many people are gay or trans, and he was doing it like in the 60s it was like, you know, whatever 2%. In the 80s it was this percent, and now it's like, you know, this insane amount of people. And he was like, this means by 2050 everyone will be gay. And I just thought to myself, I was like, I don't know. I get what he's saying, but I think we'll hit a tipping point where like, I just think that we spent so long ramming people in closets and being like, you can't be that
Also,
now we're seeing the true numbers.
If it gets to a point of just such acceptance, which I personally already think it's at, but if you're not applauded for it, then it'll lose a bit of its luster to be something to be different. That's a great segue though, because I agree with Joe when he said, if you are transitioning, I think you should keep your dick.
Well, how about as a hedge?
Exactly. And I think a couple months ago, I would have said, hey, if you want me to take you seriously, you got to go all the way. And I retract that. I don't want anyone to mutilate themselves.
Yeah, I think, again, you know, if you want to hedge your bets, maybe give it a few years. Like you wouldn't buy a car without test driving it.
Just say, play it safe. Like,
Yeah.
I really think that's good advice. I don't think anyone like that listens. But then Joe said who knew the companies are making untold billions? The billions are told from data harvesting and selling it. He acts like it's a dirty secret.
No, we didn't know that at the start.
We did not know at the start, but now he's saying it's not untold billions. It's
yeah, and we continued to click the I agree button.
It's
you know,
completely apparent billions being made, and
the second we
we're
found
complicit.
out, for real now, I'm not being facetious. The second, as people with like any kind of regard for ourselves, the second we heard that they took advantage of us like that, we should have immediately vacated their sites.
Yeah, the problem though is we love free. So like, let me give you an example just of one website that like, no matter what the terms and services are, the fact that it's free will make you go back every time. A Canadian company, Pornhub.
Viva Montreal.
So you see what I'm saying is it's very tough. Like if Pornhub, if like there's no, even if you knew Pornhub was the most egregious of the data theft, like, people are going back.
I bet they are the most egregious.
Well, they have to make money, right? So I
Oh
assume.
no, I applaud their work. I don't know.
No,
what I
but
would
I'm
do
saying
about
to you, like, they would have to have some sort of like way to make money, and it has to be data harvesting, 100%. They're not running ads. You don't see a Hellman's ad on fucking Pornhub.
It may not be individual data though. It could just be their analytics of like what people want. Like,
Of course.
so many people watch it. They have a lot of information of demographics.
I guarantee you too that porn is somehow correlated
Why
to like
do you
buying.
think that the porn people are not doing that though?
Because there's no terms of service. Like I guess there's a cookie that they know I'm doing it, but it's more like I have to have an account.
Right,
with-
it's true. You're not agreeing to anything on Pornhub.
But there's
Yeah, but I
ads
think
and
data tracking is different. You don't have to agree to data tracking. When you agree to the terms and services on Facebook, you're agreeing to like the most egregious contract in the
I
world.
think when they sell your data to a third party, you are agreeing to that.
I'm not saying I
But
wouldn't.
yeah, but you always hit agree to the cookie. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I'm not saying Pornhub is above doing that. I just thought
Yeah, no. Now that I think about it, like it's different, right? If you're not actually hitting agree, I don't know what they have the ability. They can definitely use your info, but not sell your info.
I mean,
Whatever the fuck that means.
I'm sure you could just sell analytics.
in a way too, it's weird that like we almost, to Simon's point, we almost now like when you log on to the internet, you are almost like you have agreed without agreeing that someone's watching and that you're losing data.
Yeah, you've kind of stepped onto somebody else's farm. It's a huge farm, and you're never going to see the farmer.
Well, that's the
But,
problem. Like you said, you're losing. You're not losing data. You don't have less data than you had before. You're just giving it away.
Well, it's a commodity.
It's not that you're giving.
It's not an endless commodity.
But that's the weirdest thing is when you talk about it, like, you know, it's actually weird because you don't have that data.
Which I've said I want so much.
You don't have it, meaning what? Like you generate it.
Precisely. I generate this data, but I'm not aware of it. I mean, listen, I could tell you, like, I could go through all my purchases on Amazon, or like, I guess I could go through my browser history, but I don't understand what that data means in a
want it
larger
quantified.
set. I don't understand, like,
No, I understand, but like, imagine if Walmart could go out and get real life information from every person. That would be very useful to them.
of course.
you know?
Yeah, they would love everyone to fill a
it's-
survey when they
it's
walked
the
in.
same thing. You're filling out a survey.
But isn't it
You're
weird
ju-
that they
you're-
still give you that survey?
Yeah, right. You also have to
Isn't
do
it
the
so
survey.
odd?
It must mean that survey is way more valuable to them.
Well, I know from an advertising standpoint, like the company we work with, they ask for numbers, and they would prefer that you put out a poll or a survey, because that gives you the best numbers. How old are you? Are you male or female? Where are you from? Right? Then they can advertise better, because like,
That's what all the podcasts or some of the podcasts I listen to talk about. All about our demo.
yeah, I don't know our demo because I'm clearly not very good at this.
I'd say it's between 24 and 35 men, maybe older, a bit older. That's what I assume.
I think there's more women that listen than you give credit to.
You know, but the key demographic.
No,
obviously that breaks down.
yeah, I get it. I'm just like, when I first did it, I literally wrote 95 to 5%, but then I started realizing I think more women listen than maybe we give them credit for. Thanks, ladies.
Send an email, leave a comment, let us know, fill out a poll.
Do not send an email.
In other news of Joe doesn't listen, they're talking about Amber Heard, and Ari says, I have a saying, believe all women, believe no actresses. And Joe goes, oh, I don't know what to mean. Chris Pratt's a pretty good guy. Like, he didn't.
Joe doesn't understand comedy sometimes, like especially on these ones where there's 3 comedians.
Unless he was trying to be really funny and just like being dismissive of actresses, but I don't think
Like there was a Hinckley joke that Shane Gillis made, and Joe was like, "No, man, he shot a president, you don't." And they're all just like, yeah, "Okay."
No, I think there's a problem, and I can be guilty of it, but a lot of podcasters like to talk more than they like to listen. And they like Bert Kreischer is the number one offender. If you want to learn about someone, do not listen to them on his podcast. Because every time they tell a story, he'll lose his mind and go, wait, and tell a story twice as long. Art Crumb, that's gone, eh?
Yeah, so he was from, they used him in like either Mad Magazine or Cracked Magazine or one of those like later on.
I used to fucking love Mad Magazine.
And part of me, what I mean by he's gone is is it, unless you may know, but there's no like contemporary. Does that mean like now, present day?
There's no comic strips anymore.
Like it might be South Park is the best example, but this is wrong or like crazy.
Well, there are still like newspaper comics.
No, but this was very provocative.
Provocative.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at.
There doesn't seem to
Yeah,
be.
because
I
there's
mean,
no like rag pulp anymore. You know what I mean, Kamar? Like first of all,
The delivery system, like
well, yeah, like that's where those things live. Now they live on the internet on like blogs and
Heavy
weird.
Metal, maybe, Kamar. That's still a magazine that's out there.
and so maybe if
You know Heavy Metal?
I remember heavy metal.
I remember Heavy Metal.
It's
Great
like
tits,
what
great
all
tits,
the
great
vans
tits.
were painted up.
Great tits. Like there's all the women were always voluptuous in all the cartoons and stuff.
Yeah,
Of course, they always had like a saber-toothed tiger on a
That too.
leash.
Hot,
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Maybe it's out there, but it's probably it's definitely shadow banned. If it's
I don't think
saying
it's
bad
shadow
words,
banned.
doing stuff.
I just think
it's
it's
come on my purview.
that's it. As I think nowadays everything is so segregated on the internet that if you're not like, I mean, Simon, you're on Reddit a bit. You'll see stuff where honestly nothing makes you feel older because you see something written and you're like, I know all these words individually, but as a sentence, like it's like these people are speaking a different language, like young people and they're fucking. Like, I don't understand anime.
Anime?
Whatever.
Cartoons.
No, what did you say?
Anime.
Cartoons.
Anime?
Oh, anime. I thought it was a person. Anime.
No.
Anime. You don't understand it.
Do you think there's a distinction between anime and cartoons?
I just don't like it.
Do I think there's a distinction? Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like really like grown men that have like a massive like anime or Yu-Gi-Oh
Well, and
collection.
some of them are very graphic. Like, have you ever watched any of the new DC cartoons that they've been making?
No.
Do you know DC?
I do. I have
So
not. Sorry.
Batman and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of shit. They're like
just
dark,
Batman.
man. What?
I was joking. I meant like DC only really has.
They're dark.
Blood?
Like, there's blood and sex and all sorts of things.
Wasn't there always blood in comic books? Am I crazy?
Not in the movies they made though. They were always geared towards children.
Oh, you're saying the DC like films they're
the
making
films.
now?
Oh
Gotcha.
yeah, in the
Okay.
comic books. There
But
was
these are
always-
after school cartoons with blood.
Like I remember vividly reading the one where Robin gets killed by the Joker,
Mm-hmm.
and he like smashes his head with a crowbar, and there's just blood everywhere.
Kamar, how many seasons of He-Man do you think there were when you were? Or I guess you weren't really a kid then. When you
no,
were
He-Man was
15.
the shit, man.
How many seasons were there?
2. So I'm guessing.
Yeah, 2, but each season had like 60
Didn't matter.
episodes.
That's not the point. He
or
was with-
80
he's with me.
episodes or something.
The impact it made in a little period of time.
Simon Dumb.
Sorry, there was 2 seasons, but 130 episodes. To Simon's point.
Yeah, we know.
So it might as well be 7 seasons.
Yep,
not the point.
I agree with you there. No, I'm back with him.
What do you mean you're back with him? You said you thought there was 2 seasons.
But as we're talking about this, like Smurfs,
yeah, Care Bears,
Care Bears, Hercules.
the Smoggies. What was that one?
Hercules, which was
Hercules
the
is way
worst.
older.
I know, but Rocket Robin Hood,
Yeah.
Spider Man,
Hercules. What was the? Was it Newt?
Hey,
Hercules with Hercules.
Listen, he's probably too young, but do you remember Sid and Marty Krofft? They were
that was real.
Saturday morning. Yeah,
It wasn't cartoons, or they had a cartoon in it.
No, they weren't cartoons. It was
the
like
sea monsters.
Sigmund and
I
the Sea
hated that.
Monsters,
Hated
HR
that.
Puff and stuff. Oh, I
Hated that.
love them.
Hated
I
them.
remember
You're
HR
lame,
Puff
man.
and stuff.
You're
I am
lame.
lame. I am lame. But
Timmy and his
He-Man
magic
was
flute there.
He-Man was amazing. G-Force, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, GI Joe was another.
I
great
wasn't
one.
allowed to play with GI Joes, so I loved watching the cartoon.
And it sort of seemed like it was a reward system because you'd have to get up early on a Saturday or you'd miss half the cartoons. And I thought as I got older, I just started sleeping through the aforementioned cartoons.
No, if you woke up too early, it was a problem. That's when you got stuck having to watch like Hercules and Rocket Robin Hood.
The ones I liked.
Because they wouldn't play any of the good cartoons until like 9 o'clock because they were trying to
Muppet
capture
Babies,
the-
I maybe have won an Emmy. It was amazing.
I used to record them on my Betamax.
Muppet Babies was horrible.
I think it aged well.
I think it aged well.
Do you subscribe to like people with the friends they keep? So like a guy with no girlfriend, with no guy friends, don't trust.
How do you have no guy friends? Doesn't make sense. And yeah, girls that are like, I don't hang out with girls. I'm always like, ugh. get
Girls
outta
that
here.
just hang out with guys,
Yeah.
they're annoying a lot of guys.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
all those groups, there's
Yeah.
one guy who wants to fuck her and just like,
Well, probably more
Hanging
than
on.
one guy.
right, exactly.
Yeah, no, when you meet that girl that's like, yeah, I'm like a football on Sunday with the guys kind of chick. I'm like, okay, not with me. Later.
I could not think of a guy. I guess it is very common to have no guy friends. Because of a baseball game, that's why Joe got into martial arts. I feel like that's a new first time story.
No, we've heard that story 100 times.
That he was leaving a baseball stadium.
Yes,
went
couldn't
in-
get on the train, heard the guy kicking the bag, went upstairs. This is a tale as old as time.
Fought the sensei, won.
Yeah. He
Immediately.
beat Pai Mei. He became the master himself.
Then Raiden appeared.
Well, I felt like
took
I
him
heard
to
it here for the
fucking
first
Mortal
time.
Kombat
I did like
Island.
Shane Gillis, though, where he's like, I mean, if you're going to get someone into it, it probably is those leg kicks.
It's no Shane Gillis is just head and shoulders above everyone else
I saw a
in the
video.
conversation. I find in a weird way.
I saw a video the other day of Frankie Edgar, former UFC Frankie Edgar, calf kicking his brother-in-law in his laneway.
For kicks,
Yeah, his brother-in-law.
No pun intended.
You could tell his brother-in-law was like, you know, he was geared up for it, ready, but like, And dude, you can tell he doesn't even give it like 50%. And his brother's a big dude. And he folds like a wet bag of laundry. I mean,
I would too.
oh,
Who is your favorite commissioner?
of the sports leagues.
That's what they were talking about. Who's the best? I believe it came to Dana as the decision, because I don't know who the best is, but I know who the worst is.
Who's the worst, Kamar?
Gary Bettman.
Roger Goodell is the worst.
No, he's like a mafia don.
The basketball guy is pretty bad.
They're all
Silver?
bad, eh? Aren't they?
No, I thought it
It's a
was
new guy.
Stern.
Gary
don't
Bittman
think
is
Stearns
like
is
a
there.
like a penguin, like the villain. Oh, he's
They're
so-
all like that.
no. Dana's cool. Dana, I think, is the one,
Dana's the biggest piece of shit out of every name we just
but
said.
they all are. They're all pieces of shit because they're for the league, not the players.
Yeah, the difference is everyone we mentioned, the league, all the leagues have a PA except for the UFC.
We don't
so-
know the name of the basketball, and we don't know the name of baseball. And is there one in soccer?
No, because it's all different leagues, right?
But in each league, that has a commissioner. Like
I don't think it's a commissioner.
the British,
Premier League.
that's the best one in England.
There's got to be some.
gotta have
There's
it.
got to be some like leader of the pack. Yeah.
There's never strikes. Everyone profit sharing. Everything's working in soccer smoothly. You never hear about him.
It's like the most corrupt sport in the world.
It is, but you know what, Kumar? I think because there's too much money.
Yeah. Well, you seem like that'd be the same problem in the NFL, but
Well, it's like, look at race car driving, F1. You know what? Sorry, go ahead.
No,
No, that's fine.
please.
put the
F1.
point.
F1, you just like it was so biased for so long, If you didn't have money, you couldn't win.
That's every league,
No, there's supposed to be caps that stop that from
and
happening.
the teams have so much money they go over the caps, pay the fine, lose the draft pick, whatever.
Well, like, do you find football is like that?
Yeah, football's
all-
football seems like the evenest playing field somehow.
Hold on.
And basketball, like, you can win with anybody.
Oh no, basketball is.
Look
like,
at Toronto, man.
They had to pay and give a bunch of trades to put that team together.
We didn't.
They said we have to win it now.
Kawhi, that was the only guy we were paying.
I don't know.
money
I don't know
to,
what I'm talking
you know?
about. So we agree that Dana White is the best
They
commissioner.
did that
of all
on a
commissioners.
shoestring.
Simon, this is where you're wrong though. If you go and look at the NBA finals for the last, let's say, 2 decades, if you take the Raptors out of there, it's fucking staggering. I mean, it's like the Heat, and then literally for 7 straight years, it's pretty much
Wherever
the
LeBron
Cavs.
goes.
It's LeBron and the Cavs against Steph and the Warriors, and then you have like one Toronto.
But
and then,
again, like
Milwaukee,
Steph and the
thank God.
Warriors, they're not the highest paid
Milwaukee
team
there.
in the league. They just happen to have
Definitely the
a couple of players that are head
Definitely.
and shoulders
At the end of the
above
year, the
everybody
championship does not always go to
Yeah.
the team that has the most
else. And same
money.
with hockey. Like hockey, you don't have to have the most money. It helps, but you can do it without it, man.
So Dana White is
Look
the
at
best
the
commissioner.
Avalanche.
no, Dana
Fuck
White is
Dana
not.
White.
You got to pick one.
I'm not picking any. It's
Wow.
a stupid.
Well, I'm not gonna make it Dana. I'll make it the guy from Bellator then.
Okay, there you go. Easy.
I'm picking the slap fighting dude.
Yeah, perfect.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Matt.
Oh, I know who you're talking
That's
about.
a safe bet.
Yeah.
So at
The
38,
young Arab gentleman.
Yeah.
we're now only 38.
I think he's a talent.
we're now only 38 minutes in, and they start talking about Hitler and Mussolini.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
I
is
got
the
you.
running topic
To-
for the
to get
remainder.
someplace. Yeah,
This is the
exactly,
running
exactly.
topic for pretty much the remainder of the episode.
But then we digress, and after a week of watching Biden fall off a bike, you can see it happen. Like it can happen to yourself.
Falling off a bike.
The
Listen,
way
the
the way
second-
he did.
the
like,
second time I watched it, I was, it's only because he's old. Like a young man potentially gets their foot out on the second try.
or just that bit of a sway. Like I could see that happening to me. I'm not a young man, obviously, but
I mean, the question is like, why do you have a 90-year-old frail man using those like?
yeah,
Clip
clips.
in.
It
clips.
doesn't make any sense. Like
He's not a bike racer.
this is what I'm
You
saying.
use
There's-
you use the clips to pull the pedals with your feet, right? That's the idea.
It's-
I
for
guess
racing.
the point is like what he's doing does not require those foot in fucking.
And even the egregiousness of like, oh my god, like it's a walking vegetable decrease for me after seeing it versus the first time. I still think he's incompetent, but
I just never even thought about it to tell you. Like I saw it.
I mean, listen,
It took up zero space in my
to what
head.
you're saying, there isn't a president we've had in the last 30 years that I couldn't see falling off a bike the same
Like Trump
way.
would definitely fall. Wouldn't it be funny to see Trump riding a bike?
Oh, it'd be one of the most
I
comical
cannot
things with his
picture that
hair
in my
blowing
head,
in the
yeah.
wind.
And it might hurt him more because he's bigger.
Yeah. I mean, again, maybe Obama, but like seeing Bush ride a bike, I could see him falling off. I
Even-
could see Clinton falling off.
If you're wearing those clippy clips,
Yeah.
And look, I don't like Biden. I'm not sticking up for Biden, but I'm with Kamar. You fall in those things. They're
It
stupid.
can happen.
I used
Especially
to
when there's all
You
bunch
could
of people
fall
around you.
even in the other ones.
If I borrowed someone's bike that had
Whoa,
those,
look at
I
him giving the fingers.
I flipped the pedals around so that those clips were under.
Oh, that's
And they go,
Yeah. Yes, they do.
you
Yeah.
ruin it for them. If I
It's
borrow
not his
something.
bike.
It's not
If
my
I borrow
bike,
someone's
bro.
bike,
Yeah. By the
I
way,
render it
don't
useless.
lend me your bike.
Then they talked about it's ironic that Hinckley shot Reagan, went to jail, got out, and Reagan's now dead. I mean, he was much younger than Reagan when it happened. But
I love that Hinckley's on Spotify and there was no pushback, whereas Joe Rogan, like Neil Young, left.
well, or just psycho music in general.
Yeah.
There must be more out there.
I was thinking the other day how, first of all, we all look back at Reagan. I mean, I don't, but lots of people do. As like, okay, he was a good president.
He was a good-looking president.
First of all, he was an actor.
Yep.
He was Zelensky.
Yep.
For all intents and purposes. He was in there as a puppet. And think about all the horrible shit that went down. Well, like, all the things they tried to do. There was the whole
Nicaragua,
AIDS
the
epidemic.
Contras, everything.
the
Say no to drugs. They
Iran-
fucking went bananas.
Say no to drugs.
Wasn't the climate a problem?
Trying to
What wasn't a
censor
problem?
rap
I'm
music.
telling you, yes.
There was so much shit in that period of time. It was like whatever group it was.
Yeah, Reagan was one of the worst.
No, that controls things.
Yeah.
They finally got their actor in, and they were like,
Trickle down economics.
we have to take advantage of this
it sounds like today.
8 years in power and get as much change, horrible change as we
That
can.
sounds like what's happening right now.
Like, looking back on it now, it's pretty clear exactly what happened.
And it's happening again right now.
And you know who worked for him? Actually, I don't know if that's
you
true.
remember-
I was going to say Fauci.
Remember
but
the line?
Yes, it was Fauci.
it
Remember
was,
the line from Back to the Future where he's like, what year are you from? And he's like, 1985. And he's like, who's the president? And he's like, Ronald Reagan. And he goes, Ronald Reagan, the actor?
But he was a cool president. But
No, he wasn't. He was a
terrible
terrible-
I was
president.
old enough to remember the Iran Contra. He was falling asleep, but he made you feel good. Like whatever people care what they want about their leaders, he had that. It was like everything's going to be all right.
Meanwhile,
guys, we're raping all the right countries in all the right ways.
Me and Nancy are so happy to be here.
We've locked up some blacks in your
make
neighborhood.
sure your
Don't
kids
you worry.
don't do
Yeah.
drugs. Well, we bring in all the drugs.
Yeah.
Like, it was so underhand. What a terrible guy.
We're
man.
currently
they're all
smuggling in record amounts of cocaine, and we don't want your kids doing it.
Had you ever heard Whitey Bulger MK Ultra connection?
I have heard that before.
I think that's something to be explored, which is always left out in all the biops of him,
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
or suppress, you could say.
Suppress me at all.
Brought up by Shane Gillis. Then Shane Gillis brought up the Oklahoma City police suicide, where the guy
That was the
slits
wildest
his wrist
suicide I've ever heard in my
11
life.
times.
He slit his neck twice.
Runs
Oh,
a
no, no.
kilometer.
ran a kilometer over train tracks,
himself.
dragged himself through the mud, shot himself in the leg twice. Yeah, like it was insane. I couldn't believe it. The best was the lead in though, because Shane is like, yeah, his suicide. No, like you really, I think he's like, I think you really got to pull it up because this guy's suicide. He was definitely killed.
A huge conspiracy, which I've never heard that one. So props to Shane again.
The weird thing to me is like I just don't remember it having an impact on like reform or like a terrorist group. Do you know what I mean? Like any false flag like that. Just
No,
hear me out. Like a 9/11 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. It didn't play out enough. It was much harder to make something go viral enough back then to like turn everybody's knobs.
But there were.
But it sounds like a
were.
little mini version of 9/11 that just didn't work out the way they wanted, you know? Like payout wise.
Oh, how about this? Maybe they were testing
Or
for
sure.
9/11. Well, hear me out. If you need to take that,
not out of the realm of possibility. And to think this is a new mode of manipulation, just like those Mr. Big, because those are sort of the same thing.
into the mic.
Mr. Big?
Remember the Mr. Big in Canada?
The operation, it's a psyop.
Oh, yeah,
it's,
right.
It's very targeted, but all these things have been going on for years.
Well, Your Honor, we think this guy may have killed a child back in 1974, so we set up this elaborate plan where we went out and killed 4 kids with this guy, and now we have him on tape saying that he also did this back in the day.
So false flags have it's fucking the Trojan horse.
Yeah.
Was that a false flag?
No.
Oh,
No, it was a gift.
It was a Trojan horse. It was a way of attacking.
that sounds like a false flag to me.
It's not a false flag.
Did you guys sagged your pants ridiculously, eh? Like you could kick yourself now?
Yes, they were
It was the style of the time I did it, but I sort of like if I see myself today,
I don't like it.
Baggy pants are coming back now.
Oh, they're
Or they're
back.
back, and it's one of those things where I'm like, you kids have no idea. Because they don't know that in 10 years they're going to look at photos and be like, oh, this style sucks.
No, but it's sort of like a low key way to show you're young.
Yeah, I'm not doing it again. I had this conversation with a buddy the other day where he was like, I can't.
Well, you're not supposed to look young.
No, I know, but I have a friend that wears like severely baggy pants. We were golfing with him. And yeah,
We're at the age where if you don't dress like who you are, you're trying hard and it's sort of sad. Even if it's a great fit.
I mean,
You
listen,
should just be sensible, but to be flashy and
I'm
you
trying
think there's
hard
a
and it is
problem with
sad.
being flashy?
at our age, I think it's imperative when you're 20, from 20 to 30, if you're trying to mate, like you gotta be showy and flaunt yourself. But I think at
Maybe
this age,
that's what it has to do with.
it looks pathetic for me 50, like even on a scooter. Let alone dressing like
it's
with
so
baggy jeans and my hat backwards.
It's so ironic you
sad.
say that because in my 20s, I like that was the worst period for me looks wise. Drunk the whole time, never gave a shit. Probably did laundry once a month.
I thought you looked so cool though, man.
Oh,
I thought you had it all figured out. Did you have a big head of hair too?
Yeah, the man bun. I did the man bun before before anyone did it. Before the bros got a hold of it.
At a show last week, the headliner was asking this guy questions. Like he was sort of like a UFC guy with a perfect man bun. And when he went to get the answer, he'd always put the mic at the man bun. I don't care what you have to say.
That's funny.
Yeah, it
What
was
does the
very
bun
funny.
have to say
It was
about it?
very funny. A cautionary tale for fame and whatever success is the Simpson sisters.
Stop pointing at me.
Sorry, is the Simpson sisters because they would seem like the biggest thing in the world, and now they're gone. And
Well, I bet
after
you
that-
that they're all fucking billionaires and they don't have to do it. Like,
I was
do
just
you
gonna say-
have to be famous forever? Isn't the idea to just to make as much money as you can and then go back to having a normal life?
I mean,
I
this is
think
the
so.
thing. Kamar, it would be a cautionary tale if I heard that they were both like hooked on drugs or doing really poorly. But like to Simon's point, if I find out that they both have deep real estate portfolios
have
and like
I think they're married with
families
kids.
and-
No, but
yeah.
I'm just saying it's a fleeting thing.
that's good.
Know this if you're
That's
like,
why they say make your money while you can or whatever
Make
the
hay
fucking
while the sun is shining.
yeah. So let's applause all creators and young people doing whatever they're doing because it's their time to do it. It's very rare for it to happen for a 2-year brief when you're 40 and fade away.
I mean, it's like football, Kamar. Like you watching a football to know that most guys play 4 years of football and then open a car dealership or
And then get brain damage and get robbed by their partner.
And if you're really talented, you end up having longevity anyways. Like you can't deny talent, right?
Yeah, and even then, if
you're really good at what you do, you'll have a career that
You have to
will,
love doing it.
will last.
Well, even then, if you're the best at what you do, even if injury ends your career early, you get a Tom Brady deal for ABC for like $100 million, and then you go do commentary. Like, as long as you're not a moron.
Yeah, I'm more talking about acting than sports.
Okay, sorry.
but I hear you.
Mark Norman
Whatever.
employed a narrative trick. I've heard him tell that Johnny Knoxville story like ad nauseum.
About him passing chlamydia around.
Going to Louisiana or New Orleans, but he said I don't know if I should be telling you this, but he said it so many times, which is just it's a sort of thing when you say if on stage if you want to tell a story, say last week instead of 2 years, it makes a difference the context.
I imagine Johnny Knoxville did very well even before he was Johnny Knoxville.
He's just a good-looking guy.
He just like oozes charisma, and yeah, he's a good-looking dude.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean?
We'd
He
all
seems
fuck
like he
Johnny
could talk
Knoxville.
to anyone
Agreed.
at a bar
Agreed.
anytime, no problem.
How long do you think of power going out? Is it just over?
2 weeks.
And it's all definitely all power to everyone.
2 weeks.
It depends on whether we think we're getting power back or if we know that it's
a good point,
you
too.
know, because if we know we're not getting power back, couple
2
of days.
days. Yeah.
Because think about
If
access.
we think we're getting power
good
back,
point.
I think we could probably go a couple of weeks without like
think about
turning on
access
each
to
other.
information.
Yeah, how do you find out about anything?
There would be power in the sense of propane and
Well, no, some people have generators, especially in this
what
day.
generator still runs on gas. So whatever reserves are up at the time, because once there's no power, then we can't extract any more oil. So that's stops. Whether that takes 3 weeks for that to run out is the real energy crisis.
I mean, don't forget,
Agreed.
how long was the ice storm? Like 2 weeks, right? A lot of people, some people,
many years ago.
yeah. I mean, some people had no power.
Yeah,
for,
but no one has.
But you
other
see-
people had power to help.
I
them.
guess.
Just
yeah,
from
okay.
3 days, just from one storm, look how many gas stations ran out of gas or lost power and couldn't serve gas and then ran out of gas right away after because there were no trucks coming in because of the power outages for whatever reason. I don't understand. Anyways,
I mean, listen, what you're
it
talking
doesn't
about,
take long.
if the power goes out absolutely everywhere, like you're saying, I mean, again,
Oh, like across the world?
This is the thing. Electricity is constantly produced, right?
yes, that's how the
Like
grid works.
oil, you could make the biggest canister in the world and have all that oil, and then it's a stored sort of energy. Electricity has to be produced and supplied right away, unless it's stored in a battery, and we don't have those big batteries. Like dams are running. If all that ends,
Okay.
we lose that electricity. There's still gas running stuff. Cars are still running. I don't know if they're listening to anything.
I mean, you just made a good point. There's places like Costa Rica, I don't see how they run 90% of their grid off wind energy. So unless some sort of cataclysmic,
Our chase to save the planet, we're starting to make fail safes that no power could never happen.
I mean, we should have been doing that a long time ago.
As long as something's generating electricity, right?
I mean, think about it like this: grocery stores, like if they all have backup generators, I'm almost certain. But like once the power goes out at all the grocery stores, all the perishables are done pretty quick. All the like you know what I mean?
Well, getting gas too. Like if
Yeah,
they
stuff breaks
can't
down quick.
give you gas, how are you going to get it?
And so now you start stealing.
You can't steal. I mean, listen, if the pumps run off like electricity,
No, you would have to go to like a supply.
People are going to a car
station.
with a
Yeah.
knife and a jerry
sure, yeah,
and stabbing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
I don't know if you noticed, but every gas station in Ottawa has now switched to pay before you pump
I didn't notice that. No.
because I guess during the outage, a lot of people were stealing gas. And they were like, well, fuck this. Because in the States, that's how most of it works, right? Like this honor system in Canada of pumping and then paying is very Canadian.
I don't remember.
It is, I'm telling you. I mean, Americans tell me I'm wrong, but
it's
I'm pretty sure
unlikely
that's
we
the
could
way
just
it
run
works.
into all power all at once.
and some states, Matt, I don't know which ones, but some
Our
all not self-serve.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody has to serve you gas.
Idaho changed that law like 2 years ago, and people were up in fucking arms. They were like, "I'm supposed to pump my own gas?
Well,
How fucking dangerous is this?"
That is a good way to give jobs. Like it creates like this whole other.
Useless industry, yeah.
Again, if we have a lot of homeless people or a lot of unemployment, that's what they do in Japan. They make sure that nobody is unemployed by giving really menial jobs to a lot of people, but it keeps them occupied and they're earning money and then putting that money back into the economy. It's good.
Good sound
I don't know if
society.
that's the problem we have over here, though. I think the problem is that no one wants that job.
Our problems are layered.
What job, Matt?
The job you just mentioned. Like if you're pumping gas,
Well, if it's $18 an hour, yeah, you do want that job. You know?
no one's, yeah, it's okay. So all of a sudden gas at that place is like $16 a liter. Like,
Again, if that was the case, I'm sure they would build into the price of gas. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It would just, you wouldn't see it. You, the guy paying. I don't think, anyways. Anyways.
I think Mark Norman and Ari Shaffir like are just doing themselves a discredit when they're like, "There's no way Eddie Murphy's so funny." Like I know they're both funny, but he's funnier than they are, and
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. He's a
funnier
fucking legend.
than they ever will be. For the like, sure, his first set could be rusty or whatever, but he'd still be funnier than they are, just as people.
Well, and even then,
Shane
just
didn't
like
say anything.
he's not out there fucking practicing. Guys, it's Eddie fucking Murphy.
He
Like,
invented it.
yeah, what are you doing here?
He
Like,
didn't invent stand up, but what
the way
he
you
does,
guys
no
do
one
stand
does
up,
it.
he invented.
And it's their own style. And I don't, do you find Ari just like crazy? Because I think they're both opposite. Mark Norman is just a joke machine, and Ari's just more of a personality machine.
Yeah, it just depends on the situation. Like, I don't like Ari on Rogan with these other people.
Falling apart.
Well, I mean,
Like a little
that's
schoolgirl?
That's a whole different story.
I just,
It's
I
funny.
like the whole like still pulling your dick out and pissing in a bottle. Like you're
Yeah,
in
I
a
know.
million.
Yeah,
He's-
it's
it just-
stupid.
And doing this.
Well, no, they're getting drunk. Listen, they're getting drunk.
Well, they-
It's a bit. It's funny.
I
I
know.
don't understand how you can't see that. It's like,
He's it's like coughing. I get it. But he'd be better off if he didn't get that drunk and just acted like it.
yeah, and that would be important to him if he wasn't on Rogan every 3 months, you know?
It was irresponsible.
No, I definitely, okay. I think it was funny.
The only funny part is when he goes and pisses in the hallway.
Hilarious.
And he comes back in and he's like, no. And then Jamie, which he doesn't show us, shame on Jamie, is the actual footage of Ari committing the crime. And you can see he's like,
And then he's angry that he's being filmed. He's like, you can't film me out there. And
He's-
Joe's like,
he's
you're not
struggling.
in a bathroom.
Yeah.
You're in my hallway. I thought
I-
that was great. It
And
was
that's-
great.
I
It was
just-
real.
That's the sort of thing, though. It's like, listen,
I regret that. Didn't they talk about that as well? Doing things when you're drunk and regretting them the next day, like thinking it's worth it.
if I had $1 million studio and you came in and like threw up in it or pissed in it, I'd be so fucking angry. They know how hard that smell is to get out.
Well, I felt Joe was really authentic when he was sort of pissed off. He's like, "Don't do that.
yeah,
don't
please
do that."
don't do that.
And he was still like, "Dude, are you all right?" Like he sort of became sort of fatherly to him.
Oh yeah, it's still his
That was the
friend.
most genuine Joe I've seen in.
I also love that
long
Joe
time.
has the means where he's like, "Oh, my friend's pretty drunk and has to do a show tonight. Let's get the nurse in here with the IV drip, and then we'll get like $100
Oh.
tomahawk steak into
He
him."
has to have a full, like 1-room hospital
Oh, for sure.
in that place.
Guaranteed.
Stat where people are working around the clock.
The
with
AG1 room with a nurse. And
How do
X-ray
you
machine.
picture the nurse? Because I picture the nurse from that Blink 182
Super hot. Yeah.
album cover.
Super
oh
hot.
yeah, for sure.
I bet she more looks like
Got crotchless
a
panties
lesbian.
on.
Yeah, something like that. Hans Kim. Can't say enough about Hans Kim.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
It's amazing to me that like it really Hans Kim being talked about by Joe Rogan like that just
It's a pretty big come up.
tells me that
Pretty big come up.
if you go to Austin, good things can happen to you.
Yeah, agreed.
Because that's incredible. It really, really is. It's incredible.
big come up.
They bring up the hatchet attack, which I don't know if you saw that video.
No, but
No,
I
I
obviously
did not,
can
yeah.
understand a guy.
But a
going,
cop is pulling someone over.
yeah.
One person over, and another car pulls up out of nowhere and attacks him with a hatchet. So
It's
I assume it was
insane.
suicide by cop.
nice. Well, it worked. It was very successful.
God, that reminds me. Thank you so much. Joe keeps bringing up this this case of the shootout in Chicago. Remember where it was
Everyone
like
get
mutual
off.
combat or
Oh,
whatever?
yeah.
I don't think Joe's looked into it enough because I'm pretty sure. Now, I could be wrong. I'm wrong often. I heard a story of this ranger who came back from Afghanistan and he moved his family into like a not so great neighborhood, bought a house. It's like filled with gang members, this neighborhood. And the gang starts fucking with him and his family. So he installs CCTVs all over the perimeter of his house. They start shooting out the CCTVs. So eventually he confronts the gang members and is like, look, don't fuck with me and my family. They're like, we're gonna, you leave or we're whatever. They have it out. So one night this guy has a barbecue and he invites over 15 Rangers, and he says, "Bring all the guns you have."
He's a white guy.
Yeah, he's a white guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He says, "Bring all the guns you have." They have a massive barbecue, and the gang, I guess, drives by his house and gives him some sort of like threatening, like
Allegedly.
hand signal or something. So he gets all these Rangers, and he says, like, we're going to set up defensively around the perimeter, and we don't engage unless engaged upon. And then I guess that night the gang members showed up and like approached the property, and they had like a 35-minute shootout in the middle of this neighborhood. The cops showed up in the middle of a lull. Like one cruiser showed up because I guess all the neighbors were calling because there was like hundreds of rounds dispersed. Cops show up. Shit starts going off again. Cops immediately rip the fuck out, and then they showed up with like backup 25 minutes later, and I guess nothing happened of it. No one went to the hospital.
But Joe says it like it's unbelievable they're not enforcing laws down there because this happened. But
Well, that's the thing is I'm like, if this is the
the
story he's
situation.
talking of, it's a little bit different because it's like, well, Joe, this is kind of what you're talking about as far as defending your family. So wouldn't you like?
prefer that not to happen.
Well, no, what I'm saying though is this is Joe's like Second Amendment thing is like, I have guns and a right to have them and protect my family. I took up a defensive position. Like the cops probably wouldn't press charges against a Ranger, and they probably wouldn't find any gang members. So that was my whole.
I can't believe no one got killed.
I thought the thing Joe was talking about was where there was a shootout and nobody was charged because they said it was.
Mutual combat.
I think
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
But this could be the same story where
he's
again,
saying that this is the details of that story.
I believe it's the same story. I'll pull up a video of it at the break or something.
I mean, it still seems like a situation that I don't know. Yeah,
I mean,
guess
listen,
so.
here's my thing. This is the like.
Seems like you're looking to have a gunfight.
Well, no, and hear me out. If
The
you're
Rangers.
Everybody.
if you live across the street, like, are you not fucking livid? Like, even if you're like, I get it, you're protecting your family, but you brought 15 Rangers over with
Yeah,
like
how many people
automatic
got
weapons.
shot in the crossfire in this thing?
Well, no one died, like I said. So I mean,
Well, that's
great
a
end of the story.
fucking-
But
By the grace of God, because no stray bullets anywhere into like a house.
this is what I'm saying. Again,
Anyways,
this
it's
story,
very,
Simon, this story is also something that I read on the internet. So who the fuck knows how much validity it has?
Yeah.
But
I watched that first episode, the swatting. You know that thing you
I
told
watched
us
the whole.
about?
Yeah.
What a crazy story.
It's nuts.
But what a crazy, sad, stupid story. Like
So dumb.
just all the way through. That the kid getting in a fight, swatting another kid, like it's so dumb. Does it?
It's so sad the trail of bodies it left
Yeah, it's
of
just,
like innocent people.
It really is like what's wrong with the internet. You know, I know there are tons of things that are right with being able to communicate and do all these things.
Oh, there's
but-
there's so many cons. Like,
Ugh.
At this point, I didn't timestamp it, but you know they're drunk because they bring back up Hinckley and Foster.
Hinckley.
Hinckley and Foster, his music.
Yeah.
And you know that thing about repeating yourself?
Yeah.
And pretty much after that, it's all downhill. Mark admits that he blew his friendship with Seinfeld.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought that was
hilarious,
funny and
yeah.
honest. And at 2:26, now we get to the Mussolini video. Finally.
Yeah. They circled back.
So and they're wasted now, and they're back at where they started after an hour of conversation or so. Shane did call it is the best video because they wanted to watch Mussolini and Hitler just speak, but then he said no, it's one play with his Biggie Tupac.
I got 7
Overlay.
Mac 11s, about 8 38s, 9 9 10 Mac 10s. The shit never ends.
That's the best one of those there is in hip hop.
That whole thing with if you listen to the whole thing, it's like Tupac, Shaheem.
But it's live too.
Yeah, Fat
That's-
Man Scoop. It's at MSG, I think.
It's the I remember getting it on a mixtape in like 1999.
Biggie Smalls,
That
the
makes sense.
millionaire, the mansion.
And
yeah.
it was horrible
Oh, the quality was garbage.
quality, but it was just it's the benchmark.
It's so funny though because in hip hop, everyone back in the day was like, "Yeah, I'm freestyling," and then you'd hear it on their album, like you know what I mean? That they acted like that was a freestyle, like Biggie was just on stage and spit that, and it's like, no, he wrote all of
It's
that.
professional wrestling.
Yeah,
Well, unless it's Jay-Z, isn't everything a freestyle that he does? No, it
No,
can't
they
be.
say he doesn't. They say he just doesn't write anything down, but like he comes to the studio with like a bunch of, I mean, which is still insane if you ask me.
It's that this is a Matrix moment I thought when someone joked that Michael J. Fox was dead.
Yeah,
I think we did that a couple weeks ago. And at
We
2:44,
did?
maybe we didn't.
We
Listeners, let
said
us know.
Michael J. Fox
we
was
spoke
dead.
at length about Michael J. Fox.
I said rest in peace. So he's not. No one even noticed.
Did I tell you how when I was in grade 6, I told everybody that Michael J. Fox was my cousin?
I know a lot of people that said that. Actually,
What? An
Because
asshole.
my name was Simon J. Anisman, and that was my rationale. Like, we both have J's, so we would obviously be cousins.
We got a regular old Steve Renazizi over here.
Yeah.
Did you have to come clean about it?
I think it kind of just dissipated.
No one cared
Nobody- After a little while, it was obvious he wasn't my cousin.
yeah.
But for a couple of days, I was pretty popular.
Yeah. So Ari falls apart at 2 hours and 44. If someone wants to skip
That's
ahead.
when he starts puking under the table.
Well, he's realized he's caught on camera, and it really just all unfolds at that point. So there's not much. Shane goes to take a piss. They really sing his praise. They all say how great he is, which I think you guys
He's
do.
fucking hilarious.
He is hilarious, and just with it, after 15 Bud Lights, still being coherent, still saying the right thing.
I've been saying it for a long time, man. His special is like the best special that's come out in a long time.
Yep. They talk about Will Smith, cars, dictator, death counts, Ari pukes.
Will Smith, hold on. Everybody stop talking about Will Smith already. Talk
No.
about a big thing that just
How is it? What is supposed to be broken down for how long?
Yeah, I don't know what you want.
No,
it's
not
Hollywood
broken down,
too.
but,
He
like,
didn't sexually assault someone. he
Chris
just
Rock
assaulted
never
someone.
came out after and like made any sort of, it just totally disappeared.
Maybe they're running by the code of the streets, man.
Maybe.
You know
They're
what I
gonna
mean?
fight.
Let's not.
Yeah, Chris
Make
Rock
this
is like it's
public
on
or any
site.
more
It's
public.
on site, son.
Or as I say, they're in a hot tub every night drinking champagne. Go,
Yeah.
"That's
Chris
hilarious."
Rock has like 7 brothers.
Yeah,
You don't think they all rolled over to Will Smith's house
they ran a train
For
on
some
Jada, made
retribu-
Will watch.
for some? He'd like that
Yeah, of course he would. Yeah,
retribution.
And then Joe takes care of Ari. That's very sweet. Would you like to? That fully loaded tour does sound great, eh?
yeah, it sounds incredible.
Like to go see?
The lineup, the atmosphere that Bert's going to bring. You know, it's going to be a festive thing.
Yeah, and I
A certain type of
imagine for
people.
like people who
Might
get
not wanna be
on
around
that
them.
tour, that blows your shit up, you know? No?
I'm sure it does, but I think it's just such a bonus of the life when they say, like, throughout this thing, Joe keeps joking. I don't find this entertaining at this point.
What?
This podcast.
Joe's
But-
podcast?
No, the parks, Save Our Parks.
Oh.
Like, in my life, I don't need to hear these three guys riff, and we're becoming to be the same thing now. When I hear them on other podcasts and stuff, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I would just rather have Shane Gillis come on the show, I guess.
So if you
I
don't
still
know
love
anyone,
these. I'll take these every quarter, no problem.
I don't hate them. They're funny. Like,
Let me ask you this:
I
would you
think they're
rather
funny.
this or Mike Baker?
This.
Okay, well,
no, okay, this over so many, but it's almost like watching I guess it's like watching a rerun of a show
I
or a
disagree.
commercial over and over again.
It's nice having some levity and knowing that, like, listen, as far as something that could happen on the regular,
I
I'm
think
great with this.
If they just came on and it was like the same thing every time, I would be like, I get it. That's boring. But like Ari came on, he tried to keep up with, like it
Fair
was
enough.
funny.
Fair enough.
Man.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I
If you
agree.
weren't such a hater, Kamar,
think-
you would
yeah.
see the humor.
Yeah,
in it.
I think that's what it was, and I think you've changed my opinion.
And if he can keep up, it's not hilarious. What's hilarious is him puking under the table as they all continue the podcast up above.
You're right. I was too analytical, and this is just
Mars let the dark side eat him up. It's like it's growing within him
it's
to
a
where
great-
it used to just be brown, low-level comedians that he hated, and now the hate has grown to like even guys at the higher echelon. Kamar's like, fuck these guys.
it was a great way to spend 3.5 hours and do something else at the same time for sure. You guys have turned me around, and I completely think different.
I give it a 4.5.
What?
I told you
What?
these got a running 4.5 for sure.
I mean, it has to get now that I think about it, because of
What are you
the
nuts? You're not going to give it a 4?
this is like Job waking up in the hospital asking where he is. Ta-da!
Yeah,
the payoff.
the payoff
it's great.
is there.
I'm gonna give this a 3.25.
Hater.
Only because of that fucking beautiful.
What a hater.
joke.
You turned it around because if this podcast just happens and Ari doesn't shit the bed like he does,
Boring.
thank you.
So boring.
So based on that, I'll give it a 4. It's a moment in time.
Moment in time.
And Ari exposed himself, and I should appreciate that more than be like,
Exposed
who's wasting
himself.
time? Who's embarrassing themselves?
No pun intended, Kamar.
Literally and figuratively.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. Well, I guess we are going to take a break. Maybe we'll pay a bill. I'm not really on top of things lately. Who knows? And we'll be back.